Welcome to Staying Sweet, the podcast. Tune into my weekly podcast to hear me, Alice Bradley, delve deeper into building your personal brand, up-level your mindset and tap into your highest potential using what makes you, you, all while staying sweet, of course. Whether you're looking to level up within an existing business, start something of your own, or create a fulfilling, balanced and healthier lifestyle, each episode will be curated especially to inspire and encourage your own success. Plus, don't miss out on the Staying Sweet specials, a series of exclusive interviews and conversations with Alice's network of entrepreneurs and brand owners. Don't forget there are new episodes every Monday. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do leave a rate and review. For more daily content, check out @StayingSweetPodcast over on Instagram. Stay sweet. Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Staying Sweet, the podcast. This is actually the final episode of series 2, and I can't quite believe how quickly it's gone. 22 episodes in to season 2. We are now at the end, and I feel like so much has happened, so much progress has been made. I feel like this podcast in and of itself is transforming in such an incredible way, and I'm just so excited for where this podcast is going to go for season 3. Future plans and concepts just coming together. Thank you so much to every single person, firstly, who has engaged, listened to this podcast, downloaded it to stream at a later date, or whilst you're sort of traveling around or commuting. It's been wonderful to have you join the community, and I'm so looking forward to seeing where this podcast goes in 2023. And I just feel like it really is the start of something super special. And today's episode really, really touches on that, because I feel like it's really uncomfortable sometimes, or at least I do find it uncomfortable to talk about success and talk about wins and talk about those moments that go well in our careers or in our personal lives. And it just brings up a lot of uncomfortable feelings. And I feel like when we have something successful happen to us, we quickly move on to the next thing. We kind of knuckle back down, and we don't really get enough time to really sit in our wins and think about, a past version of ourselves that wanted to be where we are now. I feel like we're very quick to move on, and it's something that I'm trying to do more of and be aware of and be more conscious of. So in sharing this episode today, I really want to give you guys the opportunity to shout about your own successes. So firstly, if you aren't already, make sure you follow my Instagram for the podcast, which is @StayingSweetPodcast. Let's have a chat about it. Let's talk about our wins. I'm going to have a post up, and I'm going to invite you guys to celebrate your wins. Let me know what's been going well in your life as of late. Whenever you're listening to this, actually, please just comment on any of my recent posts, and I will know where you have come from. Let me know what your wins are and what's been going on in your life. What has been successful? It could be personal wins, it could be big career moves, small career moves. Any type of progress and win should be celebrated. So yeah, to really end this season off, I wanted to talk about how important it is to shout about your success. So firstly, some quick updates from me. This past week has been quite a fun one, actually. Lots of events and things going on. I had an event on Monday, which was the Girls Bathroom live podcast show for Galentine's Day. It was amazing. Honestly, the best experience, and it just was even better than I thought it would be. I knew it would be good because Sophia and Cinzia have such a great energy together, and they also have such a great energy within a podcast and kind of stage presence space. I feel like it's very, very hard to translate something that already exists, that you kind of pre-record, and showcase it in front of a live audience and actually make it work, invite the audience in, and just really up level it in such a way that it's even more entertaining than just tuning in with your headphones in. And the girls did that spectacularly. They were just dressed amazingly. I actually saw them at the London Palladium on the 13th of February, and honestly, it was the best Galentine's experience. I went with my friend Tasha, we dressed up, and we just had the most amazing evening. Like, the people that were there were just so on brand. And yeah, I did a couple of things actually, which, you know, you've got to shoot your shot in these moments. If you don't try, or if you don't like take action when the moment presents itself, you'll regret it. And there are a couple of things that I did. Firstly, I wanted to share my podcast with the audience that was sat ready to kind of watch and engage with Sophie and Cinzia. And I thought, well, if the girls here are listening to, you know, Sophie and Cinzia, the girls' bathroom, they might be interested in my podcast. So what I did, I created a story, a really, really simple Instagram story, and included an image, kind of pasted an image on of my like podcast cover art, and I kind of wrote a little bit of text. I said something like, you know, if you like the Girls Bathroom podcast, you might like my podcast. It's called Staying Sweet. Here's how you can stream it, you know, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, etc. And then I airdropped it to as many people as I could. And when I tell you, there were a lot of people with their airdrop on. So I was just going through airdropping to every single person I could. Obviously, I had some declines, but that's fine. I saw a lot of people accepting it. And you never know, like, they might be a listener right now. So if you have found me from that, and if you are someone that was at the Girls Bathroom podcast show, live show on the 13th at the London Palladium, and you're listening to my podcast because I airdropped you, please, please, please get in touch, because I'd love to know if it worked. I'm definitely going to try this, you know, out more in different events on social settings, obviously, where possible. I don't want to be that annoying, like, spammy person, but when it's an event like that where people are kind of gathering for the same thing, or they have an interest or a similar interest as you never know, like, these might be your future listeners. So just a little marketing hack and a little tip that might work for you if you just give it a go. Because who knows, the Girls Bathroom might have another tour coming up, and if they do, and you have a podcast or you have something that you think, oh, the people in this audience might actually buy my product, or they might actually like what I'm doing, then shoot your shot. Shout about your wins, shout about your success. So yeah, I feel like it was a really, really fun opportunity. I dressed up in a sparkly, like, asymmetric boohoo dress, which you guys can check out my personal Instagram, which is just at alicelucybradley, and I've got like a little photo dump, which is super cute, of the evening. And actually, I was feeling quite like overdressed at one point. Like, when we first showed up, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel really, really, really overdressed, because I had these green heels on as well, which are one of my favorite pairs of shoes of all time from River Island. But then I was like, actually, no, embrace yourself. Anyone that, you know, might not be vibing with you is, you know, just not part of your energy, and that's fine. But the majority, like 99% of the girls there were incredible, like hyping me up, and everyone was just really supportive and lovely. But my dress actually worked to my favour, because at one point the girls had a kind of like spin the wheel game, and they were getting they were like different like sections, and one of them was a prize, and the task was to say your worst date story. Now, I jumped at the chance. I was like, right, I'm just going to tell a date story, and there were four of us in total. So 3 other girls. I was the second to last person that spoke, and then everyone had to cheer and say which, you know, date story was the worst. Guys, I literally won. Now, what's really, really spooky about this is the prize that I won was a £50 Selfridges voucher. And this is where it kind of gets a bit manifestation-y, because on the train up, I spoke to Tasha and we were talking about random stuff and sort of catching up. And I was saying, I really want to just go window shopping in Selfridges. Like, I can't remember the last time I went there, to be honest. And I don't really give myself really the chance to, firstly, window shop, and secondly, window shop somewhere that's on the more sort of luxury side of things. I do a lot of things in luxury, but I don't actually go to like Harrods and Selfridges often. But I was saying to her, I was like, I really want to go, and I just want to act as if, and I just want to enjoy Selfridges, blah, 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 like just window shop. And that was it. Like, it was almost like I put it out into the universe, and the universe was like, right, okay, this is your time to like shine in this moment. And it worked out. I won the voucher. Now I have an opportunity to actually go and spend some money in Selfridges. So firstly, I mean, I doubt they're listening, but if they were, Sophie and Tincia, thank you so much for the gift voucher. So incredibly generous, firstly, to even have prizes. But what a treat to have a Selfridges voucher. I feel like it's just super special. And I know it's one of those stores that, and like department stores that they like to go into. So it just felt really super aligned and just really amazing. I had the best time with Tasha, and we just enjoyed a Galentine's. It was like the perfect way to spend Galentine's Day. So that was the start of my week, which was super exciting. I then sort of had like quite a chilled sort of work from home week. And then on Friday, I had a rescheduled gig to see the Hunter. Now, the Hunter are like an indie rock band, and I've been listening to them since I was at school or like college. And I heard the Hunter for the first time during my first job in Topshop, and it was on like a playlist. They had 2 songs, You and Me and Bonfire, and it was just like the band just spoke to me instantly. And I basically just booked 1 ticket to go to enjoy the gig solo and take myself on a date. And actually, it was such a nice experience. Like, there's nothing better than going to see your favourite band. Like, I was totally sober, it was fine. I drove myself there, and it was actually at Prism in Kingston, which I used to go to university in Kingston. So very familiar surroundings, really, really lovely like experience overall. I got pretty much to barrier. There was just like one person in front of me. And the gig was insane. Like, it just activated my soul. Like, there's a part of me, I'm about 95% like classic minimal style, and then 5% like soft grunge or like grungy. Like, that's my personality. And I don't know, it's almost like an alter ego that comes out. It's my teenage self, and I'm trying my best to kind of activate that where I can, because it is a part of me, and it's something that's always been there, and it is deep rooted in my personal brand, you know, with my old blog name and things. So yeah, I had the best time. I took myself on a solo date, literally had an incredible night, spoke to some really lovely fans and other like people that were sort of around me. And then the band even stayed afterwards to do a meet and greet with everyone. So honestly, the most humble band ever, and just so grateful that, yeah, I just got to have that opportunity. And that morning, I kind of woke up and I was like, do I want to go? Like, I did want to go, but it's almost like you have to kind of motivate yourself when you're doing something on your own, you're doing something solo. You can have this small like niggle of imposter syndrome sometimes, but I was like, no, I'm going. I bought a ticket, it was rescheduled, like, just enjoy yourself. And it was the best night ever. So I'm so glad I went, and I'm definitely going to do more solo dates to gigs like all the time, because it's so easy to get to the front, guys. So that's my little top tip. But yeah, that's pretty much most of my updates for this week. I just feel like I've been tapping into things that make me happy. I've also, I can't say much about this, but I just want to kind of put it in to the atmosphere and the universe, put it into the universe. I've been working on a couple of little secret projects, which one secret project I've been working on since August last year, and it's been a timing thing. Everything is going to work out when it needs to work out, but I feel so excited when all these things start to come together. And I think that's why what I've been chatting about in recent episodes of the podcast is just, it feels like everything is coming at once, and I can't say no to anything because I've wanted all these things for so long. So I'm just having to accept that they're all happening around the similar time. Like, it's like bam, 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 sudden, like all these things are becoming successful. So yeah, I feel like it really does tie into today's episode, talking about success. And yeah, there's been other things sort of going on in the background as well with the podcast and my plans for the podcast, because it really is my baby, and it's probably the thing that lights me up the most at the moment. So I've been putting a lot of my energy into like rebranding it, and not massively rebranding, but just like getting it ready for its next up level for series 3, because I think it's important to always look at how you can improve something and make something better. I'm slowly but surely repurposing all the reels onto TikTok, which is no like mean feat. Like, it is so not tricky, but it's just so long and laborious to transfer that content over and like edit it all and put it into play. But I just think I wish I could tell my past self, that you should just mark it from the get-go. Like, if you are a podcaster, mark it on every platform now, like whilst you're getting into it, because it's a lot of effort to go back and market yourself once you've already done something. Because I'm not really that person that can like halfway through something start marketing it, because I can see like, I could have started to do it from this week's episode, but it would have just given me the ultimate ick when I know I've done loads of work. So I've been backlogging and just sharing TikTok. So go over to @StayingSweetPodcast over on TikTok as well for the reel clips if you prefer to kind of follow and keep up to date with things. I am also going to be creating content on that page as well, so there'll be like unique content on there too, but that is all going to come in sort of due course, and I'm not pressurizing myself either to kind of get it all done. But yeah, it's coming together slowly but surely. So before we kind of dive in and talk about shouting about our success, I want to start with a quote which I think really aligns with what we're talking about today. And it was actually part of a quote from Stephen Bartlett, and he shared this quote on Instagram this week that said, "If someone shares an achievement, go out of your way to say well done." And it kind of continues on, but that was the kind of premise and the quote that I wanted to take on board for this episode. And I think it's so important that we take the time to firstly shout out about our own success, but also other people's, without these weird feelings of like guilt and jealousy and just awkwardness. I feel like with success comes a great deal of uncomfortability. I don't even know if that's a word, but just like the feeling of being so uncomfortable, and like you almost have to shrink your wins for certain people or certain environments, or potentially like your own work environment. Like, you might have been promoted and adopting that new level up in your business or in the job that you're in kind of can come with some weird, uncomfortable feelings. And I feel like on the flip side as well, you can feel uncomfortable about other people's success. So we're going to dive into it. We're going to talk about it, because opening up that conversation is the only way to kind of break down the stigma of success. So I think firstly, putting yourself out there unapologetically is, one of the harder things to do in all areas of, entrepreneurship and, working within a business. How many businesses, for example, and how many success stories from your favorite, podcasters or your favorite authors or your favorite entrepreneurs and brand owners, those success stories, how many of those have you read that shout about their wins as well as their lessons? There's an equal amount. I feel like more so the lessons side of things, and what goes wrong and how that person overcame adversity. That is usually what the focus is. And then there's about sort of, I would say, like a 10-20% focus on the actual success. But I think it's just as important as the lessons and the weak parts and the vulnerabilities of someone's character or business, and it's just not really celebrated enough. And I think when you look at a business owner that you admire, someone that might be much larger scale to you, or maybe even be a small business owner, when they share their success, I think it's so interesting to see how you react to it. And I think when people are close to you in business, it can be easier to be more comparative, and it can be easier to be, more jealous of others, or kind of feel this uncomfortable why them and why not me feeling. And I think another thing that kind of taps into that weird feeling around success is when someone is your age or younger than you and they kind of get to somewhere, they hit a milestone before you, and it can kind of bring up this weird, like, why is it happening to them? Why am I still struggling? Or, you know, it took me X amount of steps to get that far. It's taken them one move and they've got there. Like, I've seen it many, many times. I've had lots of experiences with my content creation, and I've nearly been in the game for close to 10 years, guys, which that baffles me. Next year will be 10 years since I started my blog and started my Instagram. And to think I've been in this game for that long and I've got, 11k followers. Someone might look at me with 100, 200, 300, nearly a million followers, and they might have got there in like 6 months. And I've had that before. And I've had people come up to me at events. I've spoken about this before, that they've gone, oh, are you new to influencing, or is this your first event? And it can kind of feel like it's uncomfortable, because it can kind of feel like, where is that comment actually coming from? Is it coming from they are looking at my stats and they don't think I've been around long enough to kind of equate a number, or potentially they think because they've got a big, large number that they're more knowledgeable than me? And with all these things, it's going to bring up certain feelings. And I've learned over the years to not really take these things seriously and to take everything with a pinch of salt, because those people that might be kind of quick successes or kind of come into something very quickly and win very quickly, you have to remember that they may not actually have the understanding and the knowledge of adversity yet. So they haven't learned those lessons, and they might stumble further down the line. But all these things are variable. And I think when we're shouting about our success, if somebody climbs that ladder very quickly and kind of gets there very quickly, you have to remember that that's their journey to success and it's not yours. And as awkward as it is, it's okay for them to shout about their wins and for you to shout about your wins. Everyone does business differently. And yeah, it took me a long time to really get my head around that, and to not be so triggered by either younger people getting there quicker, or kind of seeing other creators. I remember during lockdown, there were a couple of creators who would message me and we'd do content together, or I'd give them a shout out. And I remember this one girl, she had like 1,000 followers, and then by the end, she started it literally in sort of March 2020, and by like August, September, she'd hit nearly 100k followers. And I just remember thinking, like, how on earth has she done that? And I'm still like, at that point I hadn't even hit 10k, and I was like, why is this not working for me? But then I have to remember, and it took me a while in that time frame to kind of get my head around, like, maybe that's not my be all and end all. And I think had I got 100k followers, I might not have focused on my work in journalism or my podcast, for example. So your success is not ever going to be comparable to someone else's, and your journey isn't either. But I think when we're talking about success and our wins, when we show up unapologetically and we allow space and we allow room for other people to be unapologetic about their wins, I think it just creates a more kind of welcoming environment. Because I feel like, let's talk about that awkwardness when sharing your wins. Have you ever been in a situation where you've heard good news, or you've been the one giving good news to someone, and like, for example, somebody might say, oh, this has happened to me in my business, and this like lump appears in your throat, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, why am I feeling this weird, uncomfortable, like mild jealousy, even though it's got no relevance to what I'm doing in my life and what I want and my career progressions? Why does it feel uncomfortable? Why am I getting this lump in my throat? And you might have noticed it with others when you share a win of yours, and you can kind of see their expression in their face kind of drops, or looks a bit like, oh, like, okay, where does that come from? Because I'm inquisitive of it, and I'm trying to be better at like really truly being like relaxed in someone else's success. And I think it comes a lot of the time from, and I'm not kind of bringing gender into this necessarily, but particularly with women and success, we often have been taught that if someone else is doing better, if a woman is doing better than you, you know, they're a threat, or you know, they can actually affect our success. And it's a weird thing to feel, but it's also really important to be aware of it and to kind of acknowledge when you might be the one that's kind of putting that energy out there. And you could be reading like someone's like Facebook status or LinkedIn status, that type of thing, and you just think, why am I feeling like this? But yeah, I feel like I wanted to kind of bring this into an episode because it's so normal to feel this weird vibe. And I think it's really important that we kind of do some digging around it. And I think it comes from this like almost like lack mentality and this feeling of, gosh, if someone else is winning, then that means that I've got to be losing, or it means that there's less of something available. But in actual fact, that's utter rubbish. Like, there's room for everyone to win. And what we have to remember, and to kind of go back to that idea of content creation, okay, that creator blew up and had, you know, hit 100k in so many months, but there's still space for me. I'm still doing my thing. I'm in my zone. Like, why should it affect me? It should actually motivate me. It should show me that things can change really quickly. Like, that's the spin. That's the spin on the success, you know. How can we feel more confident in embracing other people's success? So kind of bringing that whole confidence thing into the conversation, let's talk about how to make yourself feel more confident in like taking up space, like things that you can do to celebrate your wins, because I think it's important that we take time to shout about what we're good at. So I think if I was to offer like a main piece of advice, start small and like start with people that, you know, that you love. Is it a family member or a group of friends? I think it would be really, really cool to have like a success circle. So I imagine it, and I was kind of thinking about ideas today, like what would I want to create for others to make themselves feel comfortable sharing about their success. And yeah, this kind of success circle came about, this idea of a group chat with people that you love and trust, and you know, you want to hear about their wins. It's a group chat for you to put in what's going well, what might have happened in your day that was successful, big or small. You know, did you have a successful client call? Did you, you know, book an extra like new client in? Like, what has been your success for the day? And just create this like high octane, high energy environment. I feel like you could easily do that on WhatsApp, or like an Instagram group chat with like other creators or influencers. Say you're a content creator out there. Find your tribe and create that success circle. I also think as well, if you're feeling a bit shy about your wins and that feels too much, you know, to do, I think just making notes. So one thing that I've decided to do, and I actually mentioned it in one of my goal setting podcasts, which I will pop in the show notes, I think it's very easy to forget what we've achieved in the year. So one of my things that I'm doing at the moment is at the end of every month, or kind of throughout the month, I will make note of all my wins, big or small, things that I've done that have kind of been needle moving and kind of pushed me forward, because all those things do add up. And I think when you get to the end of the year, you can look back at that, you know, Google Doc or go back to your diary and just think, wow, like I actually had a lot of wins this year. And okay, some of them might be small, some of them might be life-changing, but they're all there, they're all documented. And I think it will just kind of warm you up and just allow you to be more aware of your own wins and your own success. And I think another thing that is super important to do, and I've noticed it in the last few weeks in just showing up and doing it, even though I feel uncomfortable, is share your wins on platforms that welcome success. So LinkedIn, for example, that is a platform all about career growth, opportunity, network. Use it to your advantage. I found that in sharing my new job, putting, stuff up about my podcast, also sharing about when I've had print articles go live, when I've done those things, I have always had a tenfold, an influx of opportunity come to me. So I've had things recently, PRs contacting me, things in relation to my business umbrella, but also things that I haven't even thought about that people are like making me aware of. So you never know who might see your career win and think, oh, I quite like her. I think I'd like to work with this person. Like, you never know what opportunities, what doors might open from, shouting about your success. It's what it's there for. Embrace it, even though sometimes we can read a LinkedIn post and go, oh my gosh, this is the cringiest thing ever. Embrace the cringe. Just be aware of your success, be aware of other people's success, and engage in it as well. If someone starts a new job, clap for them, say well done, comment on their LinkedIn. Like, you never know who their network is. And it's so true. It goes back to that Stephen Bartlett quote. If someone shares an achievement, go out of your way to say well done, because how nice would that be if you receive that energy yourself? And in sharing my job, my new job with Fabric magazine, I had a kind of mini article go up about my job appointment on Diary Directory and oh my gosh, Fashion Monitor. That's it, Fashion Monitor, which two platforms with God knows how many people, big industry leaders, on this website and on this private community, this private network of people. And I just think you never know who's watching, you never know who's paying attention. So these things all add up. They're important, and you shouldn't ever belittle your success. So shout about your success, create the TikTok, talk about how your business is scaled, talk about the things that are going well, because even if you have small wins, I've noticed I'm more likely to buy from a small business that shouts about their success or says this is how many we've sold this week. Or I love those stories. I'm a big sucker for a success story. So yeah, shout about your success. I think just some steps really to leave you on to embrace that success. Feel it. Don't rush it. Don't bottle it away. Actually sit and feel it, because it's so important you remind yourself of where you are right now and actually be present. I want you also to journal about it if you can, and kind of just dive into when things are working out for you and when they're not, or whether they're working out for someone else and what feelings that brings up for you. Because often feelings like, jealousy or why me usually stems from a feeling of desire. So learn how to kind of flip that feeling and that emotion and use it to kind of fuel and motivate yourself to succeed. And I promise you, you will be more open to, clapping for other people. And I think you never know where these other people are going to go, and how amazing could, everyone's businesses be if we all just hyped each other up a bit more. And I think the last week, things that have gone on, the girls' bathroom, just seeing all these things happen and looking at other people out there doing things that you might think, oh gosh, one day I would absolutely love to do that. You never know what opportunities might be in store for you if you just give that energy back out to somebody else. So go and hype someone up today. Drop someone a message, tell them, gosh, you're working super hard. Like, I've been watching you, or I listen to your podcast, or I follow you on Instagram, and I just wanted to let you know that I absolutely love your content. I think what you're doing is great, because you never know who you might be inspiring, and that energy gets circulated. So let's use it as an opportunity to celebrate together. And I just want to end series 2 really with this high vibe energy. I cannot wait to come back for series 3. I'm going to try and not leave it too long. I'm going to work my butt off to get series 3 together, and yeah, I'm just so excited. I'm ready to go, guys. I'm so excited for what's to come with Staying Sweet the podcast, make sure you head over to my Instagram and also my TikTok, and I will see you all very, very soon. Thank you so much for tuning into Staying Sweet the podcast. If you enjoyed listening, please do leave a rate and review, and I will catch you next week for a new episode.